All of us at Lightspeed would like to welcome the educators from New Providence, New Jersey. We have Julie Spoerl, who is the Building Technology Coordinator, also known as a Technology Specialist at Brook Elementary School. And we have Natasha Allen and Jaimee Rothenberg, who co-teach 4th grade at Brook. And Natasha is the lead teacher and Jaimee is the special education teacher. Once again, welcome and let's get started.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Julie, tell us, how long have you been partners with Lightspeed?
We've been partners for about 8 years now. It started out as being a tool purchased through a grant through our New Providence Education Foundation, which supports the teachers yearly with grants. So it was originally written for special education population to help with those with auditory issues, auditory processing issues, things like that. And then the principal at Brook, Jeannie Drexinger, was at a principal's roundtable discussion and heard some other principals talking about how it can be beneficial to the general education population. So she began a project of working to get enough money through grants continued by the NPEF, the New Providence Education Foundation, and also through our PTA to purchase systems to put in every classroom, both small group classrooms and regular ed classrooms.
Natasha, you're the classroom teacher. How has using instructional audio in the classroom changed since you have started using it post-COVID versus how you used it during COVID, before COVID?
Well, post-COVID, I think that is absolutely necessary to teach our students because it provides them with quality, clear sound that they need. Since we have students in the classroom and at home, we really need to be able to make sure that all students are able to hear us. With the audio system, they really are able to hear everything we're teaching, whether they're in class that day or at home. So pre-COVID, we could teach all of our students in the classroom, but now that we have some of them at home, they absolutely need to hear what we're teaching from home, and the audio has made that possible.
Excellent. Well, as a school-based technology specialist, what tips would you give other technologists or specialists who are setting up audio in their classroom for hybrid learning, Julie?
I think the biggest difference is typically we have the FM systems opposite from where the teacher normally stands. So if the teacher normally stands at the front of the room, pre-COVID, pre-pandemic and hybrid learning, we would put the speaker about 3 to 5 feet off the ground on an opposite wall. Now it needs to be wherever the audio source for the Zoom is going to be. So if that audio source is the desktop computer and that's at the front of the room, we've moved the speaker to be near that audio source. For us, it's typically a hover cam that is attached to the desktop computer. So the FM system mic goes right near that. System speaker goes right near that microphone.
Okay, so Jaimee, since you both are co-teachers in the classroom, how do you coordinate the use of mics and speakers?
We both have an FM system around our neck, and we have 2 channels. So there's an A channel and a B channel. So that allows us to both speak simultaneously. So if all of the students were in the classroom at the same time, we might bounce off of each other, piggyback off of each other. So since we have the 2 channels, we're able to speak as we always did. So it allows us to speak simultaneously.
Excellent. Well, I will ask you both, but I'll start with you, Jaimee. Were either of you apprehensive about using audio in the classroom when you first started?
We're very lucky in our district that we've been using an FM system for so long. So we've been used to it. So bringing it into the hybrid model has just sort of brought it to the next level.
And I agree 100%. Like we had already been using it prior to COVID, so we were familiar with it. So we knew that this would be something really effective, especially in a hybrid setting.
Okay, so as a teacher, start with you, Natasha. Tell us how it has benefited you as a teacher from your perspective.
I really do think in general, it has improved the students' learning experience and my teaching experience because it really does provide crystal clear sound that just fills the room. It doesn't matter where you are. in relation to where I'm standing. So if I'm in the front of the room, in front of the smart, in the back of the room, or in the side of the room, it really provides equity of my voice. All students are able to hear me in the same way as if you're sitting in front of me. It also, as a teacher, we speak for hours and hours a day, and we can really, strain our vocal cords. And I find that having this mic really allows me to not have a sore throat as much as I used to, because I don't have to speak at a higher level. So I really find that that's really another benefit for teachers as well. So overall, it really does enhance the learning experience for the students, and it helps us as teachers as well.
Oh, excellent. Well, Jaimee, how have you found it to be beneficial for special needs students?
So as Julie said before, this started out as a special education grant. So students with IEPs or 504s, for some students, it's absolutely necessary, especially if they have an auditory processing disorder. It also helps with preferential seating. A lot of students have preferential seating in their IEPs, and in teaching, we're not always in front of the room like we always were. So we're in the back of the room. So it allows, if we're in the front of the room, the back of the room, all students can hear us equitably, as Natasha shared. And it's especially helpful right now in the co-teaching setting, because it allows us to help all of the students, especially in the hybrid model. So Miss Allen is the head teacher. So there's a lot of times where she's going through instruction. I'm able to easily chime in and help and redirect with my mic. And without the mic, that would have never been able to happen. So it doesn't matter who's in front of the room, whether I'm in front of the room or if she's in front of the room, both of us can help all of the students equitably, whether they're in front of us or at home. And it's I couldn't imagine being a co-teacher without it right now.
Totally understand. Well, Julie, I know you've used some additional tools to make the learning experience even more effective. Can you tell us how you've blended all of those together to help the teacher and the student?
Sure. All of our classrooms are equipped with projectors and interactive boards of some sort. And so with that setup, the classroom teachers can teach to the roomers, the kids who are sitting in the room, using the projection unit and the board, and they can share their screen through Zoom to the Zoomers. The sound comes out the classroom speakers because of the way the system is hooked up to a microphone at the desktop computer. So a Zoomer who's speaking, the voice is filled within the room. The teacher's voice is filled within the room. If needed, a teacher could place a share mic or stand near a student who's a roomer to have that sound come through the microphone with it from the room. In addition, that hover cam sits right near the FM system speaker. That's the microphone. So the sound comes directly from the teacher's voice from the microphone into the computer. And there's one last piece. In addition to all of that, we also have iPads, which the teacher can use to have a mobile camera to move around the room. If there was a different area of the room, they needed to show a bulletin board or a different whiteboard. When they do that, the sound of their voice is not interrupted because the microphone is always on them and always going through the sound of the Zoom.
You have a lot of high tech there.
We do. We have a lot of tech.
We're lucky.
Great. Well, I know, Julie, not a lot of folks, sometimes in the very beginning, they are hesitant about adopting and using instructional audio in the classroom. What do you say to those teachers who may be hesitant at first?
I think the first thing I tell them is this is a really easy one. It's just wearing a microphone and turning it on and knowing when to turn it off. I encourage them to just give it a try. I think that once they do that, once they open up, they can see the advantage of not having to project their voice all day long, about having to worry as much about preferential seating for a student who has auditory issues, because their voice is going to be filled in the room. I think often we have a lot of students who now have preferential seating, so we can kind of space those around the room. But really, I encourage them to try it, and I help them set it up so that it's ready to go for them.
That's awesome. Well, then, Natasha, do you have any advice for a novice teacher about using instructional audio in the classroom? And what would you tell a novice teacher?
I would say give it a try. It is so easy, okay? As teachers, we are just inundated with so many things. We have so many responsibilities. We just don't want to learn something new. But this is something new that you can learn in 5 seconds. And the benefits of it outweigh that 5 seconds. So I would say, don't be afraid to try this. It's very easy. It's very simple.
That's great. How about you, Jaimee? Do you have any tips or techniques for novice teachers?
I think just try it and just allow yourself time to try it out, especially if you have a co-teacher. On the first day, we had to play with it a little bit, but then once we got the channels set up, and after about, I would say 5 seconds, we just got it. So and don't be afraid to ask questions. And we've asked Julie to come in and she's helped us, and just got to ask for help and then you'll get it yourself.
That's great.
Keeping those battery charged. That's probably
Yes, charge your batteries.
Batteries charged. That's great. That's an excellent tip, right? So are there any special stories that you have or you might want to share around using instructional audio in the classroom that you've seen thus far?
I think a special story is that one of the things is not just for us as teachers, but our students love to use the audio when they present their projects. They love to use their microphone. And one of our standards is to teach our students public speaking skills. So using that microphone and holding it correctly and how to speak into a microphone, all of these skills we're able to use because of the audio. So I think that's wonderful.
I really think these have been a lifesaver this year. We started this summer setting up for hybrid learning, and I thought about how are we going to get the teachers' voices clear to the kids at home. And I came in and started playing with all the technology. I was so thankful we had an FM system in every room.
How about you, Jaimee? Do you have anything you'd like to add?
I just think, like I said before, I couldn't imagine being a co-teacher without this. Before COVID, having this was a great extra. It was a great bonus. It helped the special education students. It helped everyone. But just right now, especially with hybrid learning, it has just been everything and more. Natasha and I before this said, how are we going to co-teach in this hybrid model with remote learning? And our answer and ticket was truly this FM system. It's a piggyback off of each other. We can speak to the Zoomers and the roomers at the same time. We're bouncing off of each other, whether they're special ed or gen ed, we can kind of chat in. Everyone hears us equitably. Truly couldn't imagine going through this.
Yeah.
That's great. I'd like to thank you ladies so much. And thank you for your partnership. And we're excited to be working with New Providence and Salt Brook Elementary School. And we appreciate your time. And thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.